Well, hello everyone. It's John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Fridays with Sandy. That would be Sandy Kreisberg, the founder of HBSGuru.com.
Shalom, everybody. Shana Tova, and which is Happy New Year for in Hebrew, and Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Indeed, and we have with us a great candidate here today. Super impressive GMAT score, 780. Sean has a 3.17 GPA in computer science from Stanford University, where he was on the AI and machine learning track, which obviously is very hot. He's got a really good job, senior product manager at Walmart Labs in Sunnyvale. And before that, he was with Amazon Web Services. And even before that, he was with a startup as a product manager in Redwood City.
John, 31 years old. How important is that? It's not a plus. Let's get that clear.
Yes, he's on. So I think the two things about Sean that could raise some red flags are the 317 and the fact that he's 31 years of age, outside the magical 26 to 28 window that Harvard and Stanford tends to really like. He is applying to Stanford, Harvard Business School, MIT, Wharton, Booth, and Berkeley Haas. So what about that GPA, and what about the age, Sandy?
You're going to be 33, 34 when you graduate. So that, under normal circumstances, would be a question. I think McKinsey would think twice about hiring a 34-year-old. What do you think, John?
They would, but then again, he doesn't want to work for McKinsey.
That's my point. Yeah. So I think your decision.
Goal, yeah.
Well, what job would you want? Right. What job would you want right after business school, Sean?
I think I'd want to go found my own company, or going in being a VC might be an option, but I think I'd prefer to build something myself.
So that's not a problem.
It's not a problem to say. It's a problem to do. How do you plan to found a tech company, basically during your second year of business school?
I think Stanford,
or what you're going to do is graduate and then just have your mother say, when they say, "What's your son? What's Sean doing?" She's going to say, oh, "He's found God." He's founding a company.
We're from the Valley. I think that's a pretty normal response out here. But
Good.
I think Stanford seemed to have a lot of support with their like startup labs and that sort of thing. They offer a lot of support, especially in the second year, to sort of get the ball rolling. Even if it's not immediately, I think the hope is the network you build with folks sort of puts you on the path to that.
And Stanford is the ideal place because, after all, in the last graduating class, 19%, almost 20%, 1 out of 5 grads from Stanford's MBA program started their own venture.
Incredible statistic, John. That's why we keep you around. That and your good looks and your full head of hair.
Oh boy.
All I am is smart and a wise guy. That's an amazing statistic.
It really is
great.
That's a high level for an MBA program. Usually it's 5%.
Yeah. John, do you think the 31 years old is going to be a problem?
No, because of his goals.
Because of his goals.
Yeah. I mean, even in venture capital would welcome someone with a little more maturity and a little bit older who's had his kind of experience. And certainly with the startup culture being what it is at Stanford, and his connection to the campus already and to the computer science department gives him a big advantage.
Okay, let's do another macro question. You noted on Poets and Quants that applications are down.
Yes.
So that's good news and bad news. If you're an applicant, it's good news, right?
Yes, definitely good news.
Although we don't know who's no longer applying. Is it guys like Sean or just guys on the, I don't know, I'm going to business school. I'll go to law school.
Well, one thing we do know about the decline is that domestic applicants are in short supply. So someone who's domestic applicants with a Stanford undergrad and the 780 GMAT is in awfully good shape, because the decline would even be more severe if you took out the internationals who have.
Okay, Sean, forgive us, but let's just talk about that for a moment, John. Why is that the case, do you think?
A lot of it has to do with the financial burden from undergrad, and the reluctance of that generation to bring on more debt. Some of it has to
How
do.
important is this startup dream? Like, a lot of people go, business, we don't need no stinking business school. I'm just going to start a company.
Yeah, but there's a lot of risk in starting the company on your own without any knowledge of, finance, accounting, strategy, marketing, and just doing it
Yeah,
on your
I
own.
agree with you. I'm just asking how many people don't realize that and don't go to business school.
That's true. I think a lot of people don't realize it. Or, there is the sense that, uh, the economic market, the job market has been fairly robust through the pandemic and even today. And to the extent that it has been, employers have, put promotions and pay increases in front of people to keep them from going to graduate school. That's another factor in the domestic decline.
Good. Okay, Sean, we said this. The resume we've got here is a resume for industry. It's very specialized. My suggestion would be to create another resume for your application. That it just makes things more simple and highlights, makes it more clear what you're doing and what some of your accomplishments are.
Do you guys have resources on how to simplify for maybe folks outside of industry? Are there good samples that you guys offer or anything like that? Because I think that's I think it's
Boy,
a good.
I think if you Google business school resume, you'd come up with a lot of models.
Okay. Okay.
Don't you think, John?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like taking out the jargon and the massive amount of detail that you have in your resume and explaining a little bit more. Like, people won't know what Walmart Labs necessarily is. So explaining that to them would help.
Makes
But what
sense.
about the GPA? So we think the age might not be a problem because of your post-MBA goals. But the 317 would raise a red flag of some kind. So how does Sean combat that,
Well,
Sandy?
yeah, the magic words are you've got to address the GPA. There's usually a part in an application that gives you a box for that. I think in the HBS application it's 900 characters. Have I got that right? Anyway, they let you do it. And the mantra is, my GPA is not a prediction of my performance at Harvard Business School. And then you have to tell them why. That's their concern. You go, in my case, my undergraduate career was interrupted by some illnesses, and be very specific about that and list the dates and the interruptions, even though it's clear. And you think it didn't get better, Sean?
So it's interesting. I would say it sort of started low, it peaked up, and I would say the last quarter or two it sort of dipped back down. I had switched majors, so I was trying to fit in. I was mechanical engineering, and at the very end I realized I sort of wanted to be doing tech. I wanted to be a developer and product manager, and so I switched to computer science. So I basically
Okay, so the GPA was a result of a number of factors. I had a series of illnesses. Here's a list of them. I also decided, I spent some time experimenting is not the right word, but majoring in I first majored in blah, then blah, then blah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I fit basically all the most difficult AI courses into a couple quarters, which probably wasn't the smartest for business school, but
Yeah, for instance, yeah, I would say that. For instance, I took a lot of AI courses the second semester of my junior year,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that
and
would help a lot. I think because that immediately removes any concern about that GPA. And let's face it, on the face of it, a 780 GMAT on your one and only try should completely offset a
yeah,
317.
it's almost nominal knee bending.
Yeah.
They just want you to realize it's low and give them some explanation. The illness helps a lot, and the fact that you did change majors several times, and you were at Stanford, and we're talking about computer science. So
Now, let me ask a question, Sandy, for your opinion on this. Since one of his post-MBA goals, besides working in VC, would be to start his own tech firm, how specific should he be about what he wants to do to admissions, either in the interview or in the application? Should he say, I want to do a startup? And if he wants to do a startup that's tech related, does he need to be very specific about the field that he wants to explore?
no, that sounds it's unconvincing. And they say, boy, if you're so sure about what you want to do, why don't you just do it?
That's interesting.
I would say it this way. My goal is to say this every week. The best way to handle this is my role models are. Can you point to role models for your career, Sean?
Like large tech figures that you admire.
Figures that are leading companies or started companies. They don't have to be, Steve Jobs. They don't have to be well known.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, Sam Altman and OpenAI, I think is a good
That's
example.
perfect. I don't know who he is, but you go, a role model of mine is Sam Altman at OpenAI. Sam did this and then did that, and now is the head of a robust and impactful company, a growing and impactful company. So that's one role model for me. Another role model would be this guy. That just clarifies things.
So I've been pushed on this. Sort of some people have said you should really sort of have, I guess I've been called like noble goals or sort of what you're going after figured out. But and then the other part of me is like I'm going to business school to figure some of this stuff out and figure out the
Yeah,
direction.
you should.
It's
That's why the
intention.
role model thing works so well,
Yeah.
because that means you've investigated this. This Sam guy he just started an impactful company. It's in technology. And then if you come up with three guys, they'll have a real idea of what your goals are.
Where do you put that? Is that on the actual application? You write that somewhere, or is this in the interview?
There's usually a place in the application that says, or the essay that says, what are your goals?
Well, at Stanford, when they asked the question, what matters most to you and why, I don't know what your answer would be, but it could very well be that.
Well, isn't there a second Stanford question? How's Stanford going to help you?
Yes.
That's where you put it. You go, my goals are this, this, and this. And the Stanford experience can help me A, B, C, D.
And that's where you can mention Sam Altman.
Yeah.
Who was incidentally a Stanford graduate, not MBA, undergrad.
Boy, John is the Rolodex of the business school.
Oh, well.
John's a walking Rolodex. Anyway, Sean, do you get the idea there?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And it solves a lot of problems. And it's fun investigating the people. Look around, just Google around. You might discover something.
And I'm just going to say that's a perfect role model for you, given your track at Stanford in artificial intelligence and the likelihood that if you do start up a tech company, you're probably going to use AI because after all, that's the hottest thing that venture capital is pouring money into right now.
Yeah. And that's my product right now at Walmart is I own a bunch of AI based.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So all this aligns, right? Your undergraduate education, your current work level, your role model, and what you want to do in the future.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Okay, you said you weren't that interested in having a mock interview, but I just want to ask you one question. This is critical, and it's going to occur. First question. Hey, Sean, welcome. Have a seat. Could you tell me what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently at Walmart Labs. So Walmart Labs is the tech arm of Walmart.com, focused on primarily online retail. I own a few platform-based products, or I'm product manager for a few platform-based products in AI. So this is around the catalog of items we have and the content in the items. So our goal is when a seller submits an item and tries to sell an item to be able to.
Hey, stop. John, how's he doing?
You think he's getting too much in the weeds? In other words, he should
I
just
don't think
say,
he's getting too much in the weeds. I don't think he ever started out right.
uh, mm,
All right.
The way you've got to start out is I work for Walmart Labs. Believe it or not, Walmart is more than, those stores all over the place. Walmart Labs does this, and I do this there.
Mhm.
You were getting to that. You were working your way into that, but you were
Yeah.
doing it backwards.
Yeah. How do you describe highly technical products to someone that might not understand, right? So I just for
You
background,
don't.
what? You
You make it,
don't?
yeah, keep it simple.
Okay.
or you use a
The
metaphor.
worst thing you can do is confuse somebody.
Hmm.
And they go, boy, I wouldn't want to sit next to this guy. I wouldn't want to be around when this guy is called on. It could be fatal.
I see.
I've said this a million times. Interviews or the purpose of interviews are to flunk people.
Hmm. So just distill it into a couple of sentences, just like I own AI tools at Walmart that helps customers find what they're looking for and enriches
I'm
the.
confused already. What do you mean? Now I'm going to go into Walmart and I'm going to get an AI tool. And I'm
Well,
going to
once
say,
you describe,
gee, I'm looking for
Hello.
some sandpaper.
oh gosh, maybe I'm too deep in the weeds here in tech. Um, okay, that's fair enough.
What does Walmart Labs do?
It's the online retail portion of Walmart.com.
And it's called Walmart Labs.
That's how they founded it. Yeah, it was for all the tech tool, like the tech side of opening the website. I think they might have just rebranded it
First
global.
thing you have to say is I work for Walmart Labs. Let me make one thing clear. It's not a lab.
Yeah.
It's a legacy name. Uh,
Mhm.
but what it is today is the online part of Walmart,
Mhm. Okay.
or the more accurate version of it.
Mhm.
But the critical thing you have to say is it's not a lab.
Okay. Got it.
You know what they immediately think? That's like a not a think tank, but it's like a skunk works for Walmart, uh,
Mhm.
as opposed to the actual online e-commerce site.
Mm. I
You
think
know?
that's how it started. It's probably yeah, it's a
Yeah,
legacy, like you said.
yeah.
Yeah, that's important. So they'll say, okay, it's not a legacy. What is it? Let's do this again, even though it's painful.
Yeah.
This is the most valuable thing you can do. You got to do this. You tell me, hey, hello there. Could you tell me what you're doing now?
Sure. I'm a product manager for Walmart.com, which is the online branch of Walmart, where we sell millions of items. I am a product manager for the specifically the catalog team, which uses AI to help customers find what they're looking for.
A little bit better, but quite frankly, I still don't know what you do.
If it's super technical, how do you tell them what we do?
What do you do?
Uh, so when a seller, so we opened up a marketplace to online sellers to compete with Amazon essentially. So anyone can sell on Walmart.
Hello. How important is that?
So,
Very important.
so when these
That's
sellers are
it. That's
trying to
very,
sell
you can't
items,
understand it. I don't
mhm.
mean to get,
No, this is really helpful.
you got that. That's critical. If
Mhm.
Walmart Labs it's not a lab. It's our answer to Amazon. It's an
Mhm.
online marketplace.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, people think of Walmart, they think of,
Big stores, yeah.
big stores, but Walmart has an online presence.
Hmm.
Uh, and and how does it work? People,
So any seller,
third parties can sell there, or
yeah, third parties will sell on Walmart.com. And when they are submitting their items to be sold, we need to be able to categorize those items, enrich the content, so make sure the product name and the description and all.
sure, yeah, that part
we
I get.
use
Man, the
use
beginning is
models.
critical. Did you know that, John?
Yeah, that's a big part of Amazon's business too.
Walmart business, you mean?
I actually didn't know that Walmart was in that business.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's a
Okay.
strategic priority
If
for
John doesn't know,
yeah.
Okay.
believe me, very few people know.
Okay. That's really helpful. So I work at Walmart in the on the marketplace team, which is Walmart's answer to Amazon.com to allow third parties to sell. I work on the
You can't
AI.
rush through allow third parties to sell. That's the news. That's the critical part. You've got to really highlight that.
Okay.
I work at Walmart Labs. It's not a lab. That's a legacy name. It is in some way Walmart's not an answer, but a competitor to Amazon. What happens is it's a website where people can do blah and third parties can do blah and blah.
Mm-hmm.
And incidentally,
We're all tired. I'm going to do this
under,
again. This is critical.
I want to underline a
One
point.
more time, although you may get it later.
Go ahead.
Sean, hey, what do you do?
Hey, so I work at Walmart Labs, which is not a lab. It's actually Walmart's version of, or Walmart's answer to Amazon as an online marketplace to allow third parties to sell. I'm a product manager for the AI tools around the catalog assortment. So that is categorizing and surfacing items that third parties are.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. By that point, you've either screwed the question or they've moved on. The beginning is the critical part, the setup. You got to do a whole drum roll.
Okay.
I'm a product manager at Walmart Labs. Let me say a couple of things. It's not a lab, okay? What Walmart Labs is it's like Walmart.com. It's a space where third parties, blah blah. You've got to spend all the time in the beginning going very slowly and setting it up.
I see.
I hope you agree. I mean,
no, that makes a ton of sense. I think,
yeah.
From my perspective, I think when you are so deeply entrenched in it, it's sometimes hard to step back and know that, oh, people don't even realize that Walmart.com has a huge online marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Let me add something else to this, because I think this is actually a more important point than it may appear to be for many people. It's not just helping the admissions people understand what you do. It's just as important for them to assess your level of intelligence in essentially translating stuff that's unknowable, or that is stuff that's like inaccessible. Right?
If you know what that means.
It's really translation, and business schools look for that. So you're
to my grandma sort of thing.
Yeah, you're proving your ability to communicate effectively in very clear, concise terms, which is what's really at stake, as opposed to, okay, I'm helping them understand what I actually do.
Oh, totally. That is my mantra every week. I don't want to sit next to this guy, because it's just anytime this guy gets called on, I'm going to start looking at my phone. That's kind of the test, particularly.
Hey, let's get to the odds.
Case method intense.
So what are the odds here? What do you think Sean's odds at Stanford are?
Boy, that is a mighty good question. A lot turns on the 317 and where your class standing is.
I think he has a good explanation for why he has a 317. So I see it as less of a problem for him than it would be for others, especially with the 780 GMAT.
Okay, here's a question. To get in for a white male to get into Stanford, you need something that really explodes. What do you got, Sean?
I mean, you see everything on paper. You tell me what explodes for me. I mean, I think hopefully my essay, I mean, I think the goal would be for my essays to explode to be quite good. I don't know though. I think I'm
happy to go there, man. What does matter most to you and why?
I think what I was going to write about is using AI to like create a better society or a better future. I don't know exactly the direction, but my passion for AI and for social good and combining those two things.
Okay, I'm going to help you out there. Here's what matters most to you. Having my passions make a real difference in the world. And my passions are this and this. And here's what I foresee the impact that could have. So in order to do that, you know, I'm going to have to be a leader and someone who's knowledgeable. And then you have to mention some people who influenced you and get very personal about what the influence was. So role models matter and individuals matter. Wouldn't you, John? Are you?
Yeah, I totally buy that. Yep, I agree with you completely. So what are his odds at Stanford? Come on, I'm putting you on the spot, Sandy.
780, man. They don't like rejecting people with 780. So I'm going to say and the other stuff is interesting to anybody. You know, working at Walmart, working at Amazon. I mean, schools want people from those companies there. So you got all that going for you. And the 780, I think your odds at Stanford are like 30%.
That's huge because, you know,
I don't usually go higher than that.
The admissions rate at Stanford is only 8 right now. So at 30%, what Sandy is effectively saying is that your odds are 3.5 times better than any typical applicant.
You just need to get into one, you know?
That's all you need to. Look, there's no doubt you're going to have a choice. And the only question is, will Stanford take you? Right? Because that's your number one choice. And I think you belong at Stanford, incidentally.
Yeah, I think you're going to get interviewed at HBS and Wharton at MIT. And then, well, HBS will always in the back of their minds. As John said, it could be a plus or a minus. They may go, this guy's going to Stanford, or boy, we'd really like to steal this guy from Stanford. Yeah. Wharton is the school that frequently loses people to HBS and Stanford. They might put you on their sissy wait list, if you know what I'm saying. They might put you on their wait list just to test.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think Berkeley is a good place for you as well, obviously, being in the Bay Area and having close ties to the VC community and the tech community, both. But, you know, GSB and MIT would be terrific. Harvard, obviously, would be terrific no matter what you want to do. It is Harvard. But
yeah,
man,
okay. For Stanford, to the extent you can, this will be my parting advice. To the extent you can at Stanford, try and highlight either overcoming adversity of any kind or having an impact, having a real impact on the world. Now, if there's no adversity story, there's no adversity story.
Well, there is adversity. There is that story because it also helps explain the 3.17 given his illness during undergrad. So I think that could be, you know, how you bounce back and made it and put it behind you. I mean, I think that's interesting.
I the illness thing, I wouldn't make more out of it. I would just use it as an explanation, and I would list it.
All right. Well, Sean, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, Sean, you have any questions? We don't want to cut you off. You have any questions for us?
No, not really. I guess out of the schools I mentioned, besides say Stanford, are there any that stand out as really strong entrepreneurship programs to you from what you guys have seen?
MIT and Haas.
Oh, really? Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Now Harvard is pretty good,
Yeah.
incidentally. They have a tremendous amount of resources devoted to entrepreneurship, and be a great place. And frankly, I think your odds at Harvard are better than Stanford because they take more people. Don't you think, Sandy?
Everybody's odds at Harvard are better than Stanford.
Yeah.
For the reasons you mentioned.
Man, a 780, plus your background in computer science in Stanford, man. If Harvard thinks you would go there, they will take you.
Yeah, so that's a clue. You really got to show them the love. And then when you don't go there, they say, "What happened?" And you go, hey, buddy, I'm applying to business school, not divinity school. I'm sure you guys know the difference.
And believe me, it matters to Harvard that they would take someone that Stanford would want. Believe me, they're like totally hung up on this.
Okay. I guess one last question. Is there advice you give to connecting with the universities beforehand? I know you said it's a double-edged sword, but do people just
I would do it. I would go to the forums, and because hey, it's business. This is what you're networking. One of their tests of whether you'd be a good businessman is whether you can get in.
So on campus visits and things, is it worth corresponding with them and trying to connect with them?
It's worth following up. It's worth asking. It's worth finding someone who on the campus visit who has similar interests.
One of the things you can do is you can contact admissions and say, "Hey, I want to visit the campus. Would you be able to set me up so I can attend a class?"
I've started doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and have lunch with the current student.
Yeah, that's great advice.
And then they'll know a couple of things. First off, they'll know you're coming to campus. They'll know you're really serious about this. And by setting you up that way, they know that you're going to be, a more knowledgeable candidate about the school. So, and then the hope is that the ambassador you meet with and have lunch with sends a little note to admissions telling them that, hey, this guy's really cool and he'd make a great addition to the class.
Okay, I think we're talked out here.
Absolutely. Hey, good luck, Sean. We're rooting for you. Out of the 6 schools, I'm going to make a prediction. You're going to get accepted to 4 of the 6 unless you totally blow your application.
All right. Well, I like the sound of that. I'd take that any day.
All right. And for all of you out there, good luck on your MBA journey. I know round 1 is still ongoing for some schools, but many of you out there will be positioned for round 2 applications. So good luck on that. Sandy, thanks again. And Sean, you're getting in, baby. You're getting in. This is John.
Adios.
Okay.
Hasta la vista.